Hello students, I am Professor Ravi Prakash Patepur from Jain College of Engineering, Department of MBA. Today we will be looking into Module 5 of Integrated Marketing Communication. So firstly we will be looking into the reasons to measure effectiveness. First one, avoiding costly mistakes. So why do we need to avoid costly mistakes? Is because huge money is being spent on advertising. We need to avoid wastage due to ineffectiveness of ads. You need to avoid opportunity loss due to poor communication, due to ads not meeting its objectives and missing on the potential gain that could have occurred to the firm. It helps maximize investments. Second one, evaluating alternative strategies. This helps to know which medium would be useful for what kind of communication. Alternatives like medium, messages, promotional programs, traditional versus non-traditional ads, etc. can be done. Appropriation of budgets can be done better with evaluation. Different strategies can be evaluated. Effectiveness of different ads can be done. Next one is increasing the efficiency of advertising in general. It helps to understand if the ad message is understood by the targeted consumer correctly. Helps in correcting ads with too much jargons or too much creativity, brand names not being conveyed for impact, etc. Helps ads to become efficient and effective. Helps handle the agent queries better. And the last one, determining if objectives are achieved. Since an IMC works on the principle of taking the customers through various phases, it is necessary to understand if the customer has reached the level that was originally set as the objective for the communication. Only when the current objective is met, we will have the new objectives to set. How the different program elements lead to or fail to achieve goal needs to be determined. Next, we need to see what to test. Marketers need to determine how each component of the communication model, that is source, message, media and the receiver, and also other decisions made in the promotional planning processes are processing. So the first one, source factors. It is to find the answer to whether the spokesperson being used is effective and how the target market will respond to him or her. Some spokesperson may be excellent sources initially but may lose impact over time. Changes in the source's attractiveness or likability may lead to changes in source effectiveness. Second one, message variables. Both the message and the means by which it is communicated are basis for evaluation. Messages sometimes may not be strong enough to pull readers into the ad by attracting their attention or may not be clear enough to help them evaluate the product. Sometimes the message may be memorable but may not achieve other objectives. One research showed 7 of the 25 ads that scored highest on internet and memorability had flat or declining sales. Next is media strategies. It is necessary to know which media class, subclass or specific vehicle generates the most effective results. The location within a particular medium and size of the ad or length of the commercial also need to be examined. Research shows that readers pay more attention to larger ads. People perceive ads differently depending on their context. This makes it very important to know the vehicle through which the ad has to reach the audience. There may be opportunity associated with increasing ads in periods of downward sales cycle or recessions. And the last one, budget decisions. This is necessary to understand if increase in ad budget would lead to increase in sales or not. Next is coming to types of tests. There are two types of tests. One is pre-tests and the second one is post-tests. So pre-tests. What are pre-tests? Pre-tests are measures taken before the campaign is implemented. It can occur at many number of points like idea generation to rough execution to testing the final version before implementing it. More than one type of pretest may be used. Pretest may be used to determine the shopping power of the ads and communications effectiveness. Layout of the ad campaign that include headlines, body copy, and rough illustrations. For TV commercials, storyboard and animations may be tested. Next, coming to post tests. Post tests occur after the ad or commercial has been in the field. It is designed to determine if the campaign is accomplishing the objective sought or serve as input into the next period situation analysis. Next, testing happens either in laboratory or field setting. So, what is laboratory test? In this case, people are brought to a particular location where they are shown ads and commercials. The testers either ask questions about them or measure participants' response on other methods like pupil dilation, eye tracking, or galvanic skin response. This laboratory method provides control for the researcher. It helps to assess different copies, illustrations, formats, colors, and the like which can be manipulated inexpensively. It makes it easier to isolate the contribution of each factor. Next, coming to field tests. It is the test of ads or commercials under natural viewing situations, complete with the realism of noise, distractions, and the comforts of home. It takes into account the effects of repetition, program content, and even the presence of competitive messages. Next, coming to the testing process. Testing may happen at various points throughout the development of an ad or a campaign. And the first one under that is concept generation research. Second, rough pre-finished art, copy or commercial testing. Third one, finished art or commercial testing. And the fourth one, market testing of ads or commercials, which is also called as post testing. So the first one, concept generation and testing, or testing at the time of concept generation. It is conducted very early in the campaign development process in order to explore the targeted consumer's response to a potential ad or campaign, or have the consumers evaluate advertising alternatives. Positioning statements, copy, headlines or illustrations may all be under scrutiny. The colors used, typeface, package designs, and even point of purchase materials may be evaluated. Tests under this stage are focus groups, mall intercepts, and over internet. So, first one, focus groups. It is one of the more commonly used methods. It is usually consists of 8 to 10 people in the target market for the product. It can be used to test product concepts and advertising concepts. For most companies, it is the first step in research process. Results are easily obtained, directly observable, and immediately found out. Second one, mall intercepts. Consumers in shopping malls are approached and asked to evaluate rough ads or copy of the ads. Individuals assess these ads via questionnaires, rating scales, or rankings. Next comes over internet. Advertisers show concepts simultaneously to consumers throughout the country. They garner feedback or they collect feedback and analyze the results almost instantaneously. It is becoming increasingly popular. It saves cost and is time efficient. Second one, rough art, copy, and commercial testing. Costs make testing a final ad at early stages necessary. Slides of artwork posted on a screen or animatic or photomatic roughs may be used to test at this particular stage. Rough tests must indicate how the finished commercial would perform. Studies have demonstrated that these testing methods are reliable and the results typically correlates well with the finished ads. Most of the tests at this stage involve lab settings, and the popular tests include comprehension and reaction tests, and the second one consumer juries. Comprehension and reaction tests. It is focused on trying to understand the meaning of the ad or commercial perceived and the reaction to it. Personal interviews, group interviews, and focus groups have been used for this purpose. Sample sizes vary according to the needs of the clients, typically ranging from 50 to 200 respondents. Next, coming to consumer juries. It uses customers representative of the target market to evaluate the probable success of an ad. Juries may be asked to take a test or rate a selection of layouts or copy versions presented in paste ups on separate sheets. Next, coming to pre-testing of finished ads. The ad or the commercial is finished and is ready to go to market. Testing of finished ads gives better information about the ad. So tests under this stage are for print ads, portfolio test, analysis of readability, and dummy advertising vehicles. First one, portfolio test. It is a laboratory method designed to expose a group of respondents to a portfolio consisting of both control and test ads. Respondents are then asked what information they recall from the ads. The assumption is that the ads that yield the highest recall are the most effective. Second one is readability tests. It measures the communication efficiency of the print ad. It uses Fletch formula to assess the readability of the copy by determining the average number of syllables per 100 words. Human interest appeal of the material, length of sentences, and familiarity with the certain words are also considered and correlated with the educational background of target audience. Test results are compared to previously established norms for various target audiences. And the last one, dummy advertising vehicles. Ads are placed in dummy magazines developed by an agency. The magazine contains regular editorial features of interest to the reader as well as ads. The dummy magazines are distributed to a random sample of homes in predetermined geographic areas. Readers are told the magazine published or the publisher is interested in evaluation of editorial content and asked to read the magazines as they normally would. Readers are interviewed on their reactions to both editorial content as well as the ads. Last one, pre-testing finished broadcast ads. So tests for broadcast ads are theatre tests and on-air tests. Theatre testing. It is a laboratory method. Participants are invited to view pilots of proposed TV programs. Standard programs are used as audience response can be compared with normative responses established by previous viewers. Sample size range from 250 to 600 participants. On entering the theatre, viewers are told a drawing will be held for gifts and asked to complete a product preference questionnaire asking which products they would prefer if they win. This form also seeks demographic data. On-air tests. Here the finished ads are into actual TV programs in certain test markets. The commercial used are in finished form, although the testing of ads earlier in the developmental process is also becoming more common. It is used as field methodology. Most of the testing services like Nelson have offered evidence of both validity and reliability for on-air pre-testing of commercials. It indicates the ad's likely success. Next coming physiological measures. It is a laboratory setting in which physiological responses are measured. It is a less common method. These measures indicate the receiver's involuntary response to the ad. It theoretically eliminates biases associated with voluntary measures. Physiological measures used to test both print ads as well as broadcast ads, and some of the tests include pupil dilation, galvanic skin response, eye tracking, and brain waves. First one, pupil dilation. Here the advertisers measure using pupillometers, that is the device used to measure the pupils. The dilation and contraction of the pupils of the eye in response to stimuli, that is the ad or the print ads. Dilation is associated with action. Constriction involves the body's conservation of energy. It is used to evaluate product and package designs as well as to test ads. Pupil dilation suggests a strong interest in an ad or implies arousal or attention getting capabilities. The use of pupillometers has waned over the past decade due to high costs and some methodological problems. Second one, galvanic skin response, also known as GSR. It is also known as electrodermal response. It measures the skin's resistance or conductance to a small amount of current passed between two electrodes. The response to a stimulus activates sweat glands, which in turn increases the conductance of the electric current. Thus, GSR activity might reflect a reaction to advertising. It is not commonly used now. Next is eye tracking. Here viewers are asked to view an ad while a sensor aims a beam of infrared light at the eye. The beam follows the movement of the eye and shows the exact spot on which the viewer is focusing. The continuous reading of response demonstrates which elements of the ad are tracking attention or attracting attention, how long the viewer was focusing on them, and the sequence in which they are being viewed. It is a very commonly employed methodology. It can identify the strengths and weaknesses of an ad. It is also used to measure the effectiveness of websites and online ads as well as emails. Next, coming to brain waves. Electroencephalographic or EEG measures can be taken from the skull to determine electrical frequencies in the brain. These electrical impulses are used in two areas of research, that is alpha waves and hemispheric lateralization. So, alpha waves or alpha activity. It refers to the degree of brain activation. People are in an alpha state when they are inactive, resting or sleeping. The theory is that a person in alpha state is less likely to be processing information, and that attention and processing require moving from this particular state. By measuring subjects' alpha level while viewing an commercial, researchers can assess the degree to which attention and processing are likely to occur. Second is hemispheric lateralization. It distinguishes between alpha activity in the left and right sides of the brain. It has been hypothesized that the right side of the brain processes visual stimuli and the left processes the verbal stimuli. The right hemisphere is thought to respond more to emotional stimuli while the left responds to logic. The right determines recognition while the left is responsible for recall. If these hypotheses are correct, advertisers could design ads to increase learning and memory by creating stimulus or stimuli to each hemisphere. However, some researchers believe the brain does not function laterally and an ad cannot be designed to appeal to one side or to the other. Next, coming to post tests. Post tests of print ads. Following are the different types of print post tests available. First one is enquiry test, second one is recognition test, and the third one recall test. First one, inquiry test. It is designed to measure advertising effectiveness on the basis of enquiries generated from ads appearing in various print media. It is also referred as bingo cards. It is used in both consumer and business to business market testing. It may take the form of number of coupons returned, phone calls generated, and direct enquiries through reader cards. Second one, recognition tests. A starch ad readership report lets the advertiser assess the impact of an ad in a single issue of a magazine over time and across different magazines. Recall tests. They attempt to measure the recall of specific ads. Like they pick some people and they ask what they know about a particular ad of a particular product. If they remember the particulars, then that is a good ad. So the recall test measures the recall of specific ads. Then coming to post tests of broadcast commercials. So here we are having 7 different tests. The various tests, post tests for broadcast commercial include day after recall test, persuasive measures, diagnostics, comprehensive measures, test marketing, single source tracking studies, and tracking ads. So the first one, day after recall, are also called as DAR or DAR tests. Here the effectiveness of the ad is determined the next day after the ad is broadcast. It is also called Burke test, named after Burke Inc., which found one of the methods of DAR, that is day after recall. Second one is persuasive measures. The persuasive effectiveness is measured by asking consumers to choose a brand that they would want to win in a drawing, and then after exposure to the ad, ask the question again. In theatre setting, this is accomplished by announcing a series of prize drawings with viewers indicating which of the brands they would choose if they win. In field setting, it is done by taking a brand preference measures when the video is delivered and then again the next day. Third one, diagnostics. These measures are designed to garner or help viewers' evaluation of the ads, as well as how clearly the creative idea is understood and how well the proposition is communicated. Rational and emotional reactions to the ads are also examined. Next is comprehensive measures. It measures all the things that are measured by day after recall, persuasive and diagnostic methods. Next is test marketing. This is about measuring the ad effectiveness in a test market before going national. The market chosen in a representative of the target market. The ads run is in finished form and in the media where they might normally appear, and effectiveness is measured after the ads are run. Next is single source tracking studies. This method tracks the behavior of consumers from the television set to the supermarket checkout counter. Participants in a designed area who have cable TV and agree to participate in the studies are given a card that identifies their household purchases and gives the research company their demographics. Creating different groups can help in controlling a group without showing the ad or showing a different ad. It measures directly the ad's effects on sales. Coming to tracking ads. It is about tracking the ads at regular intervals. It has been used to measure the effects of ads on awareness, recall, interest and attitudes towards the ad, and also purchase intentions. It helps in assessing the current programs and planning for the future programs. Thank you.